This guitar is almost perfect in every way. I'd say it's easily the best guitar for rock and metal under £300, 300 euros at the moment. But notice that I said almost perfect. Well, the only thing I would upgrade on this guitar is the tuners. They're okay, totally fine actually, but I really want locking tuners. But I don't want to spend £100, £120 or more on tuners. That's almost half the price of this guitar. This guitar is so good. I don't want to just put on some generic low-cost version. Luckily, I think Guyker have it covered. They make really high-quality parts for the same kind of prices, like cheap, generic, Amazon off-brand type stuff. But I know how good they are because I've bought loads of their stuff now, including these locking tuners. I'll put a picture here for my old PRS Tremonti guitar. They're drop-in replacements that do really contend with the hip-shot locking tuners that I've got on my core PRS and some of my Gibsons for less than half the price. And the PRS SE locking tuners, not the high-end range, the SE, are £100. So in this video, I'm going to swap out these Hardy Benton branded non-locking tuners for these nice shiny new locking tuners from Guyker. The Guyker gear is always packed really well, and they obviously take pride in their packaging and presentation. I'm not totally sure that these are going to be direct drop-in replacements because, to be honest, I didn't spend too much time looking at measurements and dimensions. I just kind of looked at the pictures and we'll make it work if they don't, hopefully. So for every 2 sets of hip shot locking tuners that I've been buying, I could buy 5 sets of these. At this point, I've had my hands on enough Guyker tuners and hip shot or other €100, $100 locking tuners that I've decided I don't think there's that much in it. I love the hip shots, but realistically, I kind of like these just as much. So I haven't really put a huge amount of thought or effort into what I'm going to need for this. So I just got a selection of screwdrivers, some socket wrenches, some string cutters, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get it done with that. So we will start off by removing the old strings, and while I'm at it, I might as well give the fretboard a bit of a conditioning, give the guitar a bit of a wipe over. Even though it is pretty much new, it's always nice to condition the fretboard when you get the opportunity. So let's start with that. It's always a good idea to tape down the bridge and the tailpiece when you're working on a Tune-o-matic style bridge. I forgot the tape, so I'm not going to be doing that this time. But if you've got an action that or a setup that you're really happy with, it's worth taping it down because there's less chance of actually knocking something and changing any kind of setup that you've worked on. So I won't be taping it, but just so you know. What I like to do is cut the ends off of these as well, so it passes through the tailpiece a bit easier. You don't have to do it that way, but it's just something I like to do. If you have recently restrung your guitar before this, you don't really have to get rid of the old strings. You can just take them out carefully and then cut them a little bit further up. But these came with the guitar and they're D'Addario strings, and I'm not actually a big fan of the D'Addario strings. So I'm going to change them for some Ernie Ball Ultra Slinkies. These are 10 to 48, so slightly thicker on the lower strings, good for drop tuning and that kind of thing. But before we put these on, I'm going to quickly condition the fretboard. Going to lube the nut with some of this D'Addario lubricant, which is really good stuff. But you don't have to spend loads of money on this. You can use graphite from a pencil, but I've got this. I've had it for quite a while, and it's actually almost run out. So almost time to get a new one. So I'll start off with some of this 65 fretboard stuff from Dunlop. I don't usually use this one. I normally use the Music Nomad's F1 oil, but I think I've just run out of that, so I had some of this left, so I might as well use this. This fretboard actually isn't too dry, but seeing as I've got the opportunity to condition it, I might as well take that. I leave it a couple of minutes to soak in and I'll just wipe off the excess. I usually remove it over 2 passes, so I'll do one and then I'll go back over it again just to get any bits that I've missed. Okay, so that's looking nice and dark and hydrated. Next, I'll lubricate the nut with this lubricant. Just a tiny little bit in each of the nut slots is all you need. Okay, so now to remove the tuners, I like to start with the nuts on the face of the headstock first, and then turn the guitar around and then unscrew the screws on the back. So to do that, I've got a socket wrench thing. I'll be using this socket wrench to remove the nuts, and it's not a guitar specific tool. You can get it from any hardware store. And then these nuts just pull out. There's a washer as well, so they just slide off. So then we'll flip the guitar over. If you do that and you've got a Tune-o-matic style tailpiece, make sure you take the bridge off. Otherwise, when you flip it, it's going to fall. This tailpiece is actually on really tight, so I think I'm going to be all right. So I'm going to flip it without moving that. But the actual bridge part, that slides off, so make sure you take that off. So once you flipped it over, you've got the little Phillips head screws. So just get a small Phillips head screwdriver and start undoing those, and then the tuners will pull out straight away. So as the screw out, tuner just comes out like that. So we're now halfway there. This is a good opportunity to clean the parts that you can't usually get to, that's a bit more fiddly if you've had the guitar for a little while. This is a brand new guitar, so I don't really need to clean anything up, but if you've had it a little while, there's dust gets in, so it's worth just giving it a bit of a clean, because you don't get this chance very often to get to those little fiddly bits. So now it's the moment of truth for me, because I don't know if these are actually going to just be a direct drop in where the original screws were. I know that they're going to fit through the actual tuner hole because they're the 10mm ones, so they'll be fine. But the actual placement of the screw, am I going to need to drill a new pilot hole, or is it going to just slot in? Hopefully it will be the latter, because I really don't want to have to drill a pilot hole. If you do have to drill a pilot hole and reposition the screws, it's really not the end of the world. Yeah, ideally you won't have to do that, and if you spend a bit of time looking at the diagrams, or email Guyker as well, they'll tell you if it is a direct drop-in replacement. So let's see. Yep. Slight sigh of relief there. Yes, they're direct drop-in replacement, so that is good. So now you know, if you've got a SC custom from Harley Benton, I'll put a link to these specific tuners and they'll 100% fit your guitar. So I'll start off by screwing these into the headstock first, and then I'll turn it around and put the nuts on the front, the bushing nut thing. So now at this point you can decide if you want to use the screws that came with your old tuners, or if you want to use the ones that came with the new Guyker tuners. If you use the ones that came with yours, you know they're going to be an exact fit. They're going to match up with the hole perfectly, same size, same width, same depth. Or you can use the ones that came with the Guyker tuners. If I compare the two, they are literally identical. The head of the screw is slightly different, but the actual width and depth of the screw is completely the same, so it doesn't matter which ones you use. So I will go for... I'll probably use the ones that came with the Guyker tuners, for literally no reason at all. So now it's just a case of reverse engineering what you've done up until this point. So we'll start off by screwing the screws. When you do screw them in, don't just like use all your force. Just do it so you can feel it grip, and then just leave it. Then we'll flip it over to the other side and we'll come back to it and maybe tighten it a little bit more, but you don't want to over tighten it because it's the headstock. You don't want to mess the thread up, you don't want to potentially crack the headstock or anything like that, so don't do it too tight, just tight enough. It can get a little bit fiddly, so what I like to do is put the screw through the hole first, place it over, put the screwdriver in place, and then start screwing into the screw hole. And that way you don't start dropping everything everywhere. So then flip it over. And then if you look, these already have the washer on them. So hold it by the washer. And then just tighten it with your fingers. Again, like I said before, don't do it over tight. Just tighten it with your fingers, and then get like a spanner or a socket wrench and just gently give it a little bit of a twist so it grips in a little bit more, and that's all you really need. So I'll flip it over, give it one last little tighten. And then the socket wrench. And it really is that simple. Like, how quick was that? It took a bit longer for me because I'm showing you what I'm doing and I've got 4 different cameras going, and so I've had to set those up, and I'm making sure you can kind of see everything as best as I can. You can't really mess anything up. I know there'll be people watching this video being like, yeah, obviously it's easy, why are you even making this video? But you've got to remember that some people haven't done any kind of modifications on their guitars before, and building up the confidence to do these kind of things without worrying about, you know, messing it up, and that you won't, you'll be fine. So if this is like the first kind of thing you've ever done, it's a really good way into modifications and setting up your guitar to become more yours. Put the bridge back on, put the tailpiece on if you took your tailpiece off, and then it's time to restring, which is going to be so much quicker than it was before. So if you haven't used locking tuners before, on the back of the tuner you've got these little screws, so unscrew them. Don't have to take them all the way out. So once they're unscrewed, I've actually unscrewed these ones all the way. On some locking tuners, some of the other Guyker ones, once you unscrew them, they'll come all the way out. But these, I don't know, maybe they've changed them recently, but now they don't fall out anymore. So they're pretty much identical to the Hipshot ones because they don't fall out either. So I've unscrewed these all the way. And what happens is when you unscrew them, the hole that you normally put your string through, that opens up and allows you to pass the string through it. And then you tighten them up at the back and then it locks it into place. So that's how they work. And what I like to do is adjust the tuning heads so that the string goes straight through, so you haven't got to like curl it round or anything. So they're all pointing in the same direction. It's easy to put the string straight through, lock it down, cut it, and it's done. It's that simple. I'll show you. So we've got the low E string through the tailpiece, through the hole, and just screw it back in on the back of the tuner. Tighten it up, and it's done. This restrung, then you just cut the end off. It really does make restringing so much quicker and easier. It's a real time saver, especially if you've got a lot of guitars and you're constantly retuning. You will save a lot of time and effort. So then we'll just tune it up, make sure it's fully tightened at the back. You don't have to go too mad. Once you feel it grip, then that's probably enough. And then you just do the same thing with the other 5 strings and it's done. You can cut them one at a time, or you can wait till they're all done and then cut all 6 of them. I like to cut them one at a time, unless I'm backstage at a gig or something and I'm quickly restringing, and I'll do the whole lot and I'll just do all 6 in one go. Not really sure why, it's just what I like to do. So now it's done. We probably got rid of the old tuners, cleaned the guitar up, put in new tuners and restrung it in less time than it takes to restring a Floyd Rose. So as you can see, a very easy install. Anyone can do it. I'm not going to tell you that locking tuners are guaranteed to improve your tuning stability, because that's just not true. A good set of tuners and a properly adjusted nut will be totally fine. But if you've got cheaper tuners, these will be a huge upgrade for relatively very little expense. For me, it halves the time when changing strings, and I like fresh strings and I like playing around with different gauges and materials, so locking tuners are a massive help. To be honest, I'm probably not going to put these on like a PRS core model or a custom shop guitar, probably. But for any guitar under, I don't know, £1,500 or euros, I'd have no issue using these. They're so good. If you've had any experience with Guyker parts, then tell me what it was like in the comments, because I'd love to hear what you think. I recently made a video about this now perfect Hardy Benton SE Custom 3, and you can watch that just here. I'll put links to both the tuners and the guitar in the description below. I highly recommend both. I honestly think that this is the best sub £300 guitar that you can get, and these tuners just make it 100% complete.